Square. Wanna take this?
Oh, I have all.
You got one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do number 4 this time because it's participant 6. Explore. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already did PIS. So I'm going to quickly show you the Think Aloud video, which is Think Aloud, you saying everything what you think.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of giving you a task, and while you're solving the task, you kind of keep saying things. I'm clicking this because of blah blah blah.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Sure.
So I'll show you the video.
I'm looking for ways to support a good cause. What I want to find out is what this organization does. The first thing that catches my eye is this section here. There's steps for something, but I'm not sure what it's for. So I'll go up here and take a look at the topics. These options don't really tell me much more about what this organization does. The need maybe has to do with regions that have needs. I'm just guessing, I'm not sure. So let's go to About Us. Maybe I'll find something in there. This image, maybe this organization is about feeding children. Let's read further. I like these 2 short paragraphs. Although this first paragraph really doesn't answer my question. Okay, it's not until the second paragraph that I find out what this organization does.
Cool.
Okay.
That's what Think Aloud is. Do you have any questions so far?
No?
Okay. This is really awkward. Usually, like, participants sitting on there. Alright, that's fine. So I'm gonna quickly show you the tutorial of this person's
I guess first of all, you haven't told me what this is all about, or you don't want to tell me.
Oh no, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
So this is the data from the 8-week study.
Yeah. So what have you done with that data?
So we got your physical activity tracker steps.
Mm-hmm.
We calculate with how active minute you get, how many active minutes you're getting per day. So we calculate that if you walk 100 steps per minute, we count that active minute. And we also measure your heart rate from the chest strap, remember? And with all those data are gonna be in there. And we also have the enjoyment, your heart rate, resting, recovery, max, and active minutes. What else? And
vigorous minutes and moderate minutes for your heart rate.
Right.
So
so you've modeled that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when you click this dashboard, usually we can compare 2 different data. So I'm going to show you very soon on that. This is not your data at the moment. This is fake data.
The synthetic data.
Yeah, synthetic data.
Yeah.
And pretty much like
Just
kind
fake
of
data.
yeah. We just want to
So it's
see.
fake data.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 4 different big folders, and if you click cardiophysical exercise, there is goal, VR minute, and daily. And if you click the goal, we have active minute, vigorous minute, moderate minute goal, which is like recommended level of minute that you have to reach.
Okay.
So if you click the evidence, you can see the dates, and usually government said you need to have a 30 moderate minute per day to reaching the recommended level of exercise. So we put the 30 in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the recommended level.
And for the vigorous, usually 15 minutes per day, which is very active, more than moderate. And that's gonna be 15 minutes. And active minute is combined with both moderate and vigorous minute, which is 45 minutes. So from the heart rate, moderate minute is over 50% of your heart rate, and vigorous is over 70%. But steps, we just have active minute, which is 100 steps per minute. We don't have any moderate or vigorous minute.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. And if we go to VR minutes, we have active minute, moderate, and vigorous as well. But this time, this whole model is for all the VR games, not specific VR games, just overview.
All together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you click the daily, you can see your daily steps, like how many active minutes you got, which is on 12th of September you got 8 minute active minutes from your Pebble data.
This isn't me though.
Yeah, no.
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 You have less data than this. And if you click persona, like your first name, birth year, gender, last name, which we're not using for this study, and if you click nutrition, so it's kind of like how many vegetables you intake for that day. So would you like to talk more on this?
So yeah, one of the things for the vegetable in here, there are heaps of numbers in here, but this number is serving size. Normally 1 cup of vegetable, the raw vegetable, which is 1 serves. So when you take 2 cups of vegetables, which is 2 serves. So this number is the number of serves for the vegetable. And also the goal for the vegetable. The food item in here, we're not gonna using this data in this study, but these food items meant to be the macronutrients, the data. So when you eat something and then you log for your food intake, that is put into here. Yeah.
Okay.
And if we click goals, this is also recommended level of vegetable you have to take per day. Apparently it's a 6 serve per day. So that's why we put 666 is for everything.
Yeah, that's for the recommendation levels.
6 servings a day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Wow.
6 cups every day.
Shit.
It does make sense for me, at least.
Yeah, so navigating all this, you can click this to go back.
Oh, my data. Okay.
Yeah. And if we click VR games, you can see we had the 5 different games, remember?
Yeah.
And if we click one of these, for example, longbow, there is enjoyment 1 to 7. I ask you end of the game, so
Yeah.
that's what it is. And if we click heart rate, you can see maximum average heart rate
For this game.
for specific longbow, and resting like before playing game, and perceived after the game. I ask you like how you feeling about it.
Yep.
And recovery, which is after playing game, you're sitting for 3 minutes. That's your heart rate data. You can easily click here to see the evidence of your heart rate. And also you can see for longbows, VR minutes, which is moderate minute, active minute, vigorous minute, as well as how long you play the game. So that's what it is. So now I'm going to show you the comparison things. So if you want to compare, for example, like playtime in longbow, click this on it to compare, and this playtime coming up. And if you want to compare playtime compared to moderate minute, how many moderate minute you getting while you're playing the game, you add this button to add this component here, and you can easily click to go to dashboard. But if you wanna decide to compare playtime versus active minute, you easily just click this to get a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's compare this and this, and you can easily click to go to dashboard, and you can compare like during this 18 minute you had a 6 minute moderate. 30 out of 31 you have 11 minute moderate minute.
Okay.
That's what it is. Any questions so far?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you can only compare two components at the same time.
Right. Okay.
So now I'm gonna give you some. Before we go into the task, I want you to explore like this user model and see anything you don't understand before we go into the Think Aloud task.
From my data, or just here?
From this.
From here.
From this bit here.
Did you record? From now? Or...
Yeah. It's
Okay,
recording
you already
now.
did. Okay.
Think aloud, please.
Oh, you
Yeah.
didn't say you wanted me to do that now.
Yeah, just think aloud.
I thought, okay.
Yeah. Quickly explore, like.
Okay, so right, I'll go back. Oh,
Ooh, what?
No.
do I go no? Do I want to delete preferences
Oh,
component?
don't do that.
Just click that.
Yeah, be gentle.
Okay. So I've gone too far ahead, so now I want to go back to Fruit Ninja. So I click on Fruit Ninja, but it doesn't seem to take me back. So I guess I need to click the... No? Okay. I clicked the X. So that was kind of doesn't tell me how I go back.
Mm.
So I wonder if I click on VR game. So that took me back to that menu. So it was unclear once I clicked on Fruit Ninja how I actually went back, because there's no back button. Again, if I click on Fruit Ninja, that does nothing. So I have to go back to VR game. Okay, now I understand how that works. So I clicked on Fruit Ninja again, and I want to see VR minutes. And I want to compare my playtime. And then, so I can see playtime is being selected, but it's unclear how I can click on another component, only knowing that I can click on 2. But when I click into the screen, that disappears, but I don't know if it's still selected. I guess it will only be if I want to select, say, vigorous minutes, and now I can see that those 2 are selected, but it's unclear. And it might have been good to keep this box up in the space that's blank, so I can still see the other components and I know that they're selected. It would even maybe be good to have a number. It doesn't say here in the components comparison that I can only click 2 if I'm missing that. So it might be good to know that I can only compare at any time 2 components. But now I have playtime and vigorous time selected, so I'm going to select go to dashboard, and I can see that I can only see 2 dates, but there's no vigorous minutes on one of the dates. Okay, so now I wonder how I'm going to go back to where I was in the previous menu, and that I can't work out, so I guess I'm going to push user model, and that took me back to the very start. So it was unclear. So if I wanted to go back to the previous step and compare 2 other data models, I was unable to do that. Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, do you want to quickly go through everything? No, you don't need to like doing, but you can just see whether you can, your confidence to get a task.
As in to do what I was just doing?
Yeah, I mean, now can you understand the structure? Like, are you ready to do the task or
Oh,
do you
yeah.
need more time?
No, it's fine.
You ready?
Do you think that I'm ready?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
okay.
you're ready, you're ready.
Let's get on with it.
Okay, first task.
Am I at the start?
Yeah.
Or do I go to my data? Okay. All right.
Okay. Now I want you to look at how much active minute did I gain from playing VR games.
Okay, so I'm clicking on VR game, and again, I have to only click on the actual name, not the box, so that's unclear. Yeah. So it would be good if the whole box was able to be clicked. How much active minutes I gained from playing VR games? Is that all games or just a game?
All games.
So I can only select one game though. and then so I'm clicking on VR minutes. So it's unclear. The question to me doesn't explain, because it says VR games, but I can only select one game at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to go through every single game and compare every component to give you the VR game minutes, which is time consuming.
Okay.
Ideally, I would be able to see collectively the VR minutes, the active minutes for all the games I played, because I know that I played more than one game over the period.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Next question.
Sure.
How much active minute did I gain from daily step?
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my data, which takes me back to the start.
Yep.
So how many active minutes did I gain from my daily steps? So I am assuming that that's out of cardio and physical exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's daily, so I'm going to go to daily, and then active minute step I add, and so that's brought up the component comparison, but there's nothing to compare it against.
Yeah.
So I am confused, I guess, by why it says comparison where it isn't. I'm not comparing anything, I'm just viewing
Mm-hmm.
that active minute. So I'm going to go to the dashboard, and there's nothing there.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So next one. How much active minute did I gain from playing VR games compared to the recommended level of active minute?
Okay, so I'm going back to dashboard. Oh, no. Okay, so that didn't work. So that was confusing from before. So I click on user model, and I'm back to my data. So I'm going to click on VR game again, and I will have to click one of them. So I click on VR minutes, active minutes. So I clicked on VR minutes, and now I can see the active minutes there. So I'm adding that, and then that has come up in the component comparison. Again, it's unclear because I have to click in the main screen for that to go away, and then the recommended
level of activity minute.
Okay, so there is no recommended level of activity minutes there, or clear to me. I can't see it. There. Okay, active mins. So the active mins title is hard. Even though it says active, I'm looking for that seems hard to me. So okay, I click on that because I already clicked on it before. So I'm comparing it against itself.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Can you understand this data? What do you think? What do you think about chart, and what do you think about the visualizing stuff?
I can see that it shows me the date, so the dates that I was active, but I don't understand what the scale is. What is that? 0 to 7 doesn't tell me anything. It needs, if you're going to use a basic graph, and there's nothing wrong with using a basic graph, the axes need to be correctly labeled. Okay.
Okay. Next one is I would like to compare my physical activity daily steps with the recommended level of active minute.
Okay, so I'm going to go to user model, knowing now that that's what I click on. So I'm clicking on the cardio physical exercise, and then I'm going to click on daily. But again, it's active min, so I select compare,
Yeah.
but there's nothing. Okay.
Compare active minute versus recommended level of active minute. Daily active step, daily active minute, and recommended level of active minute.
Yeah, but there's no Pebble or Fitbit thing in here, right? So this is clear to me, right? Because you asked me a question about VR game. Okay, so I can go VR game. But I also knew, as also being a participant, that I had the Pebble. But you've got nothing here that says the Pebble. So how am I meant to find that? Am I assuming that it's in my personal? No. Is it in my nutrition? No. That I clicked on. I'm clicking on cardio physical exercise, but where am I looking? There's my goal. So
daily step.
All right, so I don't see active mins.
Compared to recommended level of active minute.
Yeah, righto. But where's daily steps? Oh, daily step. Okay.
Compare with recommended level of active minute.
Yeah, but okay, can I go back? So
you wasn't sure you can go back to the previous page.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that I could go back to the previous page. Yeah, okay, well, you're telling me that. Nah, it doesn't make it clear to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which point doesn't make for you?
The fact that I have to go back to different components or different screens.
You was worrying that you're losing this clicking component.
Yeah.
So you wanna see these ones on the top always, on the top here, bottom or top side or side.
Like, there's nothing wrong with having a basic interface, but it needs to be clear where it's going.
I agree.
Okay.
And it needs to be labeled clearly. Say, for instance, VR minutes. Have VR space minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also in your components, have spaces, because I'm looking too closely. I'm looking at everything, and if you either bolded the labels with spaces, and then it would make the next line, which is recommended active minutes, recommended vigorous minutes, recommended moderate minutes, stand out as the description. So yeah, I guess these visualizations are kind of confusing me.
Sounds great. Next one. Now let's compare how many active minutes you gain from VR games compared to your daily step active minute.
All right,
that's quite tricky.
I'm confused as it is already.
Yeah.
How much active minutes did I gain playing VR? So if I go VR game, I click on that.
Yeah.
Again, the question says VR game, so not a game. So I'm going to select a game. I played Longbow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm going to click on VR minutes and then click on active minutes. But these came up from the previous one, so they didn't delete. So I take them off, and then I go add to compare. But again, I had to click in the screen to go back. And how much did I gain from daily step? Oh, this bloody thing again. So is that the same question from last time? Oh God.
Let's have a look at your daily active minute.
So I have to go back.
I think so. I should say, but yeah.
Daily. And then I add. And then I compare. Okay, so now I can see.
Yeah.
But that's not clear. I mean, I'm, not... this is, for me, like, also the wording of your
Yeah, sure. This is for the normal users. So if you
Yeah.
can understand this,
Yeah.
then the
I'm
other
so
users
glad I
can.
have
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need a lot of the comments for improving for our user interface as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think for this chart?
Doesn't tell me much at all. Like I can see
Mhm.
my active minutes against my active steps,
Mm.
but okay, so then there's missing data on the 9th of the 10th, missing data on the 12th of the 9th.
Mhm.
So, and again, what is the axis saying? Like
Mm.
what is 0 to 14?
Mm.
And so I guess that's, well, it's minutes
Mm.
to steps, but
Mm.
Is it easy to understand, or you have no idea? Did you realize that I should show you some quick thing? You can hover over this.
I didn't.
Yeah.
No.
Why you didn't?
Well, I guess I was more. I didn't even think about hovering over.
Just like a static, the chart.
Yeah, it just looked like a static chart. But I guess I was trying to analyze the data itself, or trying to work out what it was. So I can tell that that's the dates on the bottom, but on the top, on the left-hand side,
Yeah.
Is, is that also minutes and steps? Like say that was there, they were on equal. Would that be 4 minutes and 4 steps?
So you thought the red is the steps.
Could be. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a different scales of the data is in one chart.
And what you might need to do is have 2 separate charts that sit side by side. So one for that I can see how many minutes, and then I can see how many steps. But together, if I'm looking at the numbers on the left, am I saying, oh, I was active for 12 minutes but only did 8 steps? So if I think logically about that, I would do more than 8 steps just to get up to get a drink for 1 minute. So yeah, the representation of the data isn't clear.
Active minute is 100 steps per minute.
Isn't it?
I explained it twice before we started.
Oh, I forgot that already.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think we need to show some information, so always there, so you can maybe understand it a little bit better.
Well, I mean, look, like anything, right? You can
Yeah.
you can bombard people with information about something at the beginning, and they'll say yes, yes, yes. But then when you're running people through something like as intense as this, any questions?
It's not going down.
So you would almost be even good to have a list here.
Yeah.
A separate list that I could always refer to around that. But I didn't. I can't remember that you said it was 100.
Okay.
Unless I missed
I
it.
think we should just present in here like, oh, this is data from blah blah blah, and referencing that and blah blah blah. Okay.
Or providing another information, more detailed information in the legends areas.
Now let's have a look at how much moderate minute did I gain from playing Hollow Point and Longbow.
Together.
Compare.
So I go back to user model, and I go to VR game.
You'll get used to it.
So hold on, was it Hollow Ball?
Hollow Point and Longbow.
Hollow Point. So I click that.
Moderate minute.
For the moderate minute.
Okay, so click on moderate minute.
And Longbow.
So I go back to VR game and then click Longbow and go VR minutes and then click on moderate minute. So I have 2 moderate minutes there, but I'm just assuming that it's moderate minutes for the 2 games, but I don't know that. It just says 2 lots of moderate minutes. So I either think that I could have potentially clicked the same one twice, or it doesn't indicate to me if I'd chosen the wrong game. But I'll click go to dashboard, and again, in the representation of the data, it doesn't tell me which game's which. So I wouldn't even know what game was what there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the perceived heart rate versus max heart rate to playing Fruit Ninja game.
So, okay. You have to leave that here because
Ah,
it's
yeah.
a long day. VR game. So, so I go Fruit Ninja.
Yep.
And then HR is heart rate.
Yep.
So I only remember that because you said that before, but HR might be better represented saying heart rate instead of HR.
Because
So-
people might think about human resources.
And again, so we've got perceived heart rate. Again, you need to have spaces between that. So it's got perceived heart rate. It's clunky again that I have to go in there, and then max heart rate. And this time they're side by side, so it looks different. So the perceived heart rate and the max heart rate now look like they're side by side. So it actually looks like they're going to be analyzed together, where the other ones that I clicked on, it's probably just based on size, right? And how
Yeah,
it fits into the box.
Mm-mm.
But when they sit underneath each other, it just looks like they're two separate things.
So
But
you-
this actually does look like they're
Together.
together.
So you prefer this way of presenting?
It look
Mm.
just automatically now I can see, I've clicked
Mm,
perceived
okay.
and I've clicked maximum.
Yeah.
So they look like they're sitting together. So whew. Again, when I click into the data, it just tells me the date and I don't have any idea.
Mm,
Again, because if you told me at the start, I can't remember what those numbers were on the left. If they were labeled, I'd be able to go, that's what it means. Again, it might be better to have two separate graphs that are labeled and that you can look to compare.
What about looking at this
I wouldn't
bar
use
chart?
those colors
What
either.
about bar chart?
And bar charts there's nothing wrong with bar charts. They just have to be labeled correctly. So the axes need to be labeled so I know. Okay, there I can see its date. You've got that labeled.
Yeah.
But the left-hand side, it doesn't tell me anything. Just numbers.
Yeah.
Getting there, Joel. Next one is. Sorry. So annoying. Okay, let's compare enjoyment between hollow point and longbow.
Okay, so now I know where I'm going into VR game. So enjoyment. So okay, I click on hollow point. So okay, I can't see here. I've clicked in before, but I don't see where I would find enjoyment. So I click on heart rate, and there's nothing there. So if I go back to VR minutes, there's nothing there. So okay, I must have clicked on something wrong. So again, I've gone back into cardiophysical exercise because I feel like if I go into VR game, because you asked me questions about two games, and if I click on the game, the only options for components. Okay, so I see enjoyment right there, but I'm looking at the HR and the VR minutes. So there was nothing about enjoyment, and because I was looking for enjoyment, I didn't see that there.
So your eyes doesn't reach to the bottom, just
No.
on here.
And again, this might be something to do with the way that it is labeled. Again, you've kind of jumping between having capitals and then combined to now in lowercase. But I don't understand why you would have the heart rate and the VR minutes labeled but not enjoyment. Even though it's one component, if you've got a label, then I would know I can see heart rate. Ideally, it would say heart rate. VR minutes would be VR space minutes, and then a separate tag for enjoyment would have made it easier.
What about the terms, the preference for enjoyment?
You mean in terms of the
The term itself. If you're looking at the preference,
no?
can you find the enjoyment?
Well, the question was about enjoyment and
Yeah.
not preferences. So
Yeah.
ideally, it would be enjoyment.
Mm.
But if you had the enjoyment tag here or menu,
Mm-hmm.
then it would be easier.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now let's move on to nutrition. How many vegetables do I typically eat?
Okay, so I'll go back to my data and it's nutrition that I'm clicking on. So I click on vegetable, I can see vegetable, and I click that. It gives me nothing.
Mm.
But it doesn't say anything to do with me. And again, even I'm now just clicking on food item just as a just to see what it brings up, but nothing.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I would, maybe it needs to be personalized as well. There's nothing personal about this at all.
Yeah.
So the data that people would be going through,
Mm-hmm.
they can see it. And if you're comparing it, so maybe it says something like my vegetable intake, my food intake, or it's something about that.
Yours.
Maybe even it might be too complex, but when a user has to register or sign up, they've put their name, it might say Joel's vegetable intake. Or, so I go, oh, that's me. I click on that. Joel's Hollow Point game, Fruit Ninja game, it.
Joel's game.
Joel's
Joel's Bria.
yeah, Joel's results. I don't know, something like that. It's personalized
Okay.
to me,
This sounds really good.
or even my kind of, because it's your data in
My
there.
data.
Yeah.
Okay. How about we compare this vegetable intake with recommended level of vegetable intake?
Okay, so again, I feel like I need to go back to the start because I don't know if that data is cleared. But so, nutrition. So, nutrition. So it's recommended. How does this compare with recommended intake? So,
Recommended vegetable intake.
okay, so I can't see anything that says recommended. And if it's there, I can't see it. So there's goal. Right. So I had to go into a goal to find out what a recommended intake is.
Compared to the how much vegetable you usually intake.
Okay. But I wouldn't see a recommendation as a goal. So I'll add that and I'll go back to nutrition. And I'm assuming that food intake, vegetable. So I click on vegetable. Oops. I clicked on the evidence instead of the add to compare. So again, there's no spaces between words and they're sitting underneath each other. Whoa.
What do you think about the data?
Well, clearly it gives you the maximum amount of the vegetable goal and what you actually ate in any given day.
Yep.
So I mean that it's clear, but it's overwhelming the way that it's presented because I would say that you wouldn't need, if you want to represent this data in this type of style of graph, you would know that that is the benchmark and where you're at. So there's no need to have the recommended goal for every single day. It would need to be benchmarked somewhere or visually represented in a different way. Or you need to, or this axis could be maximum recommended, and this, and then this is my vegetable intake. So again, personalizing it, and then you would just see.
So you think like like horizontal lines in here.
So you said it was the maximum was 6 cups.
Mm.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
So maybe if it was recommended vegetable intake,
Mhm.
but this was labeled as that,
Mhm.
maybe no need yet, and then that's there
Mhm.
as the top,
Mhm.
and then take that out. Then you can just see what you actually got.
Mm.
Because yeah, the blue, the vegetable, the maximum vegetable intake for every day is like, whoa, too much data.
Mm.
Now I would like to compare just 2 more. Vegetable intake with my daily step.
Okay, so I'll go back to dashboard. No, again. So that I keep thinking going to dashboard takes me to the front, but no. So I go to user model, and so I want to go daily step. Now I can't remember where that was. Okay. Cardio goal.
Recommended level of no, it's not recommended. Sorry, daily active minute versus vegetable intake.
Okay, so daily active minute I clicked on.
Yep.
Against vegetable, so I go back to my data and I go nutrition and I go vegetable. And there's the 2 there.
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
Only now I can do that because I've been using the
Yeah.
interface.
Yeah.
But if you would ask me that question at the beginning, I would have been confused.
Yeah. What
Agree.
fact might make you confused?
The fact that one, it doesn't indicate that it's my information or my data. Secondly, there's no clear method and steps. So I can't go backwards and I can't go forwards. It's like simple things like going back. It's what we use in almost every social media app, or every app rather, that we have in daily life now. So I think from a user experience perspective, it's something that we automatically assume.
Yeah.
Websites that you have to use the back button, like so say now I'm looking at just the standard backwards and forwards button on Google Chrome. Most of us hardly even use that anymore because there's back or other links that take you to different information. So again, I have to click on user model. Even if you want to keep these 3 menus, personas, dashboard, and user model, you might need to put some indicators to know what you're in. So for instance, you might want to highlight the one that you're in, so I'll know that I'm in something different. So there's pink is not a good color either. You're going from pink to white to blue. It's like, whoa, there's too much. Even though it's simple, it's too much happening. I would go for softer colors and a greater indication of what steps I need to take.
Okay. What do you think about comparing vegetable intake and your daily active minute step? Do you think they have a correlation between it, or you don't think?
No, nothing at all.
Then what would be the good to compare with the vegetable intake?
Well, okay, so I think nutrition and exercise, most people think about it differently. So they're thinking about so daily steps or whatever, you'd want to compare your heart rate. So if you got your heart rate to the maximum points that you needed in the day, nutrition would be, I would think about nutrition in what I consumed in the day and maybe how many calories there were or something like that.
Mm.
I don't see how I compare vegetable intake to my daily steps or my activity means anything to me.
You don't need to compare for your physical activities. If you want to compare with the vegetable intakes, which one do you want to compare with the vegetable intakes?
None of them.
None of them.
No, because what if I don't eat vegetables?
Mm. Okay.
And some people don't eat. Some people are on, high protein diets and don't eat vegetables because they're full of
No.
carbohydrates, right? So you're only talking about one form of nutrition, it's vegetables. What? Because it's a recommended daily source of nutrition. Not everybody, complies with what governments say around daily intakes because they change all the time.
Yeah.
We should then be consuming more dairy, and then they say dairy is bad for you. Then you should be consuming, high protein, but that's bad because you need some fats to, So I think people are more aware, or have the ability to be more aware around nutrition and exercise now. Not saying that everybody is or does, but I don't see the correlation between your vegetable intake and exercise.
Okay.
Now I'm going to show you your data for that 8 weeks. Joel. There we go. So that's your usual model. I want you to explore. I'm not going to give you a task. I want you to explore what you want to see from that 8 weeks study.
Okay. So I'm gonna check on the VR game, and I knew that I played Longbow quite a lot. So there was my enjoyment level. Okay, so that's the.
Oh no, sorry. Before we do that, let's. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Let's go back to the previous one.
Yeah.
I need to come back to you because you made so many failure. I wouldn't say failure, but for the Think Aloud study, because it's good to know. For the first question, how much active minute did I gain from playing VR games? So for that, you click VR game and click one of those VR game. I assume was Fruit Ninja, I think, and click VR minutes and had a look at the active minutes. But actually, it located in the cardio physical exercise VR minutes, which is the overview of all the VR games. So the answer was you click the evidence and you can have a look at the date and how many active minutes you got. Do you understand this?
What do you think?
What do you think about giving date and time?
It needs to be better visualized.
Well,
I mean, it just looks like a whole row of numbers.
Mm.
So, okay. And you're also automatically assuming that I use that type of date standard. So just say we were in America. They don't say day, month, year. They say month, day, year.
Different format.
So, and then you're automatically assuming that I know what the end numbers are. So yeah, visually, this just looks like a whole lot of numbers. Could be a mathematical equation for all I know.
So it should be some
It needs to be very clear. It needs to be clear. Maybe you need to have a title that says date, and then active minutes, and then there it is.
Yeah.
So I'll give you options for this one. So one of the options is just providing all the information like tables and whatever is like that. Is it better, or just having a briefly describe how many times that you achieved for your active minutes and how many times that you didn't, and something like the overviews of a general information. The brief information is better for this one.
I would put it in a table.
The table. Okay.
With the actual label like date, month, year.
No,
active.
you could just have date. You could change the date could say 11 SEP
Yeah.
17 or something. That's pretty straightforward.
Mm.
But if it's in a table and clearly,
Mm.
maybe your system allows you to change the date format.
Mm.
Mm.
Lots of systems do.
Yeah.
Based
Yeah.
on the users
Yeah.
and location.
Hmm.
Okay. And next question was like how much daily active steps are getting, and
Oh, one more thing that I can ask it to you. So I wonder is because the real minutes in the cardiophysical exercise, does it make sense? Does it make sense for you?
No,
or-
because you've got VR minutes in the VR section as well. So why is there two?
because this is overview,
It's
so
still unclear. Like even though you
Mm.
explained it to me at the start,
maybe we should move that to under something.
yeah, I would.
You would like to move to where?
So that is the full overview,
Mm.
cardiophysical exercise, and then I don't.
So it's much more flexible. So if you can modify all of the things, which location, even you can create another things in here. So which one is better?
Well, see, at any point are you comparing your personal data? Only your birth year.
Mm.
So you can't compare any of your other personal data.
Never change. Even birth year never gonna change.
And also,
Exactly.
And also this one is not the number.
I know, but are you asking people to compare their birth year? So
No.
why is it there?
So where it should be?
Hmm?
Where you
But
think it should-
but it's a
Yeah.
compare.
Mm. But what do you think about?
I think personal data should be out of this comparison section.
Yeah,
Yeah, altogether.
Mm.
like your name on the side or something.
Something
Logo,
like in
yeah.
another menu option. I would have this labeled as overall data,
Mm.
and then so maybe it's in different steps. Like this comes down, so maybe cardiophysical exercise could be called something like overview of all data, and it sits above, and then these two options sit underneath that as one's for nutrition. What's in nutrition again? So this goal, I think it might need to change to recommended nutrition or recommended goals. And then the VR game stuff. So really the questions were about comparing those. But this needs to be clearer.
Okay. So you mean this VR minute has to get out from the cardiophysical exercise folder? Shouldn't be inside the cardiophysical exercise folder. Because that's for each games.
Yeah. Well, if you're wanting to do overall, this needs to be you need to really think about this section here. Yeah, it needs a lot of work.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other one was compare active minute on VR from playing VR games with a recommended level of active minute, which you couldn't get through. Because I think you also assume that you figure out the goal, which is the recommended one, but again, you couldn't find out this VR minutes existing in this folder, and you went to the VR game folder and then click one of the game. That's one of the things you missed out.
Maybe again, it comes down to personalization.
Mm.
So maybe that says my goals,
Yeah.
my VR minutes,
Mm.
my daily active steps,
Not just called daily because
but
Mm.
my active steps, or
It
maybe it's
doesn't-
my pebble. So
my
because
pebble sounds good.
yeah, like
Mm.
because
Mm.
because I knew that I had done the VR game stuff and I did the pebble stuff. There's the disconnection because some of your questions are asking about the pebble stuff, but there's no label here about pebble.
Mm.
So yeah.
Okay. And the other thing is you didn't realize you can click evidence to see all this data. You're trying to keep compare, even just for only one single component and click the dashboard. You also assume that data popping up as like big chart if you click the dashboard. That's what you expected, right?
Yep.
Mm.
Instead of clicking this evidence.
A game which is visually impaired.
Okay.
Mm.
And on last one is you could keep click dashboard to go back. You was expecting when you click dashboard you might take you to user model, which is this page. Right. Okay.
And user model is not the right word. It could be like my data, which you've got there, is up there.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm.
Another thing is when I ask you to find the enjoyment, you figured out at the end, but you didn't see this enjoyment and you click the heart rate, you click the VR minutes to figure out the enjoyment. Do you think you only can see only these layers, not... Do you think this is...
My eye doesn't take me to it. So that's why I would recommend you have an enjoyment
in here?
label. Yeah.
Okay, in separate folder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good. Now I'm going to seriously show you your data, and I'll let you explore, like see what you want to find.
So I'm gonna compare my recommended active minutes to my VR minutes. Active VR minutes. And then compare. So, really? I had more days than that.
You didn't wear heart rate monitor.
Because it was broken.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Alright, so now I know I can hover over it and I can see the date and how many minutes I was active. So it should be 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I only did 9 minutes that day, wow.
Maybe because you didn't play that long enough.
Mustn't have. Yeah. So, if I go to VR game and I go to Longbow, so I don't really care about my enjoyment. Let's say I want to see my active minutes against my vigorous minutes.
There's no vigorous while you play.
What about moderate?
Or maybe playtime. Compare your...
So my playtime to my active minutes. Okay.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Pretty much.
So initially you're not like engaged in the games, but later on you're pretty much engaged. I don't know why. Maybe you want to achieve some certain levels for the games, or you want to beat someone, or I don't know.
So So let's go vigorous to my daily like this set. So I achieved
More than
more than that.
yeah. But you got new iPhone and you didn't send the data to third person. But you have a today's data, but interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool, that's it. Any other comments on this user model or any?
I think I've given you
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than enough to work with.
All right. That's it, and quick one more SUS and that should be honest with it. Would be great.